What we are going to do today is we will try to solve one consulting case together, wherein what I will try to do is that I'll take you through the step-by-step process of how we should, kind of approach a case and what is expected by the recruiter when you're approaching a case study. Okay. When we start the session, what we'll do, I'm going to cover in a couple of minutes. Just I'll set the context, what is case study and what is expected, and then we'll directly jump to the case study. So that will be the format. Okay. So just to start with, okay. So what is a case? A case or case study, which generally asked in which are asked in the interview, is basically a business problem or a situation given to you, and it is to basically test your problem solving skill, right? So that's the idea. And generally the case studies which generally are given during the interview by the recruiter are open-ended statements. Like it could be as simple as that there's a company which is losing profitability, what will you do? And these are generally you know um, uh, inspired by the real-time events. So let's say the interviewer would have faced this problem or was facing this problem, and they just want to test out on how would you approach this problem. So that's the idea of any case study, right? So why companies are asking case interviews? So definitely, as I told you, right, they're asking case study to evaluate your problem solving skill. But even then, what are the other use cases of case studies are basically, let's say there are a lot of new technologies or new companies or new type of industries are emerging. Now it is very difficult to have a domain knowledge of that industry. For example, quick commerce. Now any recruiter may not test you on quick commerce versus they will give you a problem and see how will you solve it. Another thing is that since things are changing so fast, right? They want to see that if the technology is changing, if the business environment is changing, how would you react to it when there's an uncertain situation? How would you structure it? How will you analyze it? How will you take an action? That all things are being asked in the case interviews. So that's why case interviews are asked. And as I said, they are designed to evaluate your problem solving skill, your tolerance for ambiguity, and your communication skill, right? So this is what they are going to test you. Now, what do you mean by tolerance for ambiguity? As I said, right, there will be a lot of ambiguous situation wherein you'll be given a problem and you need to solve it. How do you behave? How do you behave in that ambiguous situation? How do you communicate in that ambiguous situation is what is being tested in the case study interview. Okay. And cases can be from any industry, any domain. It could be from aerospace, it could be from retail, it could be from healthcare. Because, and you should not worry about what industry or what domain it is from, or is it, do I know this industry or that domain? Because you are not going to be evaluated for your domain skill or industry skill. If you know it, okay. If you don't know it, it's okay. It is also okay because there it is kind of designed to measure your problem solving skills. So don't get toppled if a case is asked which is not from an industry or domain which you're not aware of, right? How many cases should we practice? So when I was doing my MBA from IIM Bangalore, I would have done more than 40, 50 case interviews. What I would have done is I kind of paired with one of my friend, and we used to do like this. He will read a case and he will interview me as case interviewer, and then second time I will interview him as a case interviewer, and that's how we practice 20 to 40 cases. So you should practice as many cases as possible, right? So and I mean there are a lot of expectations from recruiters. My only sincere request is any case is asked, any guesstimate is asked, don't give up. That is the last thing you want to do. How do you solve a case is something which we'll discuss now. Okay. So this framework we will discuss during the case itself. Okay. So let's say this is a case given by recruiter to you, right? That there is a US-based beauty product manufacturing and marketing firm which is losing its profitability since last 3 years. We need to find out why this is happening, and we need to suggest what should we do to improve the profitability. So that's the problem statement. What will you do? What will be your first step? Would somebody likes to pitch in? What should be your first step? What will you do when this kind of problem is given to you? Anyone? You can put it in the chat. You can speak up by unmuting yourself. Whatever is comfortable for you. What will you do if this kind of problem is given to you?
I think the first step would be
Hmm?
first to figure out what profitability means for the company,
Hmm?
and it's all about like finding if they are using any specific formula to calculate profitability. Then we'll break down and we'll try to find key metric that is getting affected.
Excellent. Very good. So very good point you made, Mehman. You said that we should figure out what is profitability. Somebody has written rise in COGS. Somebody has written, Rahul has written, first to start with preliminary question. Very good. What market segment is company operating in? Very good. So these are very valid points. Yeah, Vaibhav, go ahead.
Sir, I would like to say that profitable. First, we have to see that on what basis profitability, on what aspect we are losing, on fixed cost, on variable cost. We have to identify that what part we have to like minimize the cost to increase the profitability. Yes, sir.
Yeah, yeah, great, great. I think all of your points are valid. Omkar has also written that what market segment is the company operating in. I mean, all your points are good. I would try to give what should be your next step from the perspective of recruiter. The first and foremost step, what you should be doing is that you need to take a step back. Don't try to solve the problem, but ask clarifying question to understand whether I have understood the problem clearly, right? In order to ensure that you have understood the problem clearly, you should ask some clarifying questions. Okay. And even before that, what I would suggest is, and that happens, so I'm telling you from a practical experience, that you should clarify the problem. And even before that, you should summarize your understanding. You should paraphrase. You should paraphrase what you have written. Because sometimes what happens, and I've seen it multiple times, that people listen to the wrong problem and they start solving wrong problem, right? So before you jump in, summarize your understanding that if I understood you correctly, the problem is following that we have been losing profitability for the last 3 years and we are US based manufacturer or whatever you've heard, right? What do you want to paraphrase? Now you ask clarifying question. Now, what could be some of the good clarifying question? And you should ask at least 6 to 7 clarifying questions. At least. I mean, you cannot ask multiple, like tens of clarifying questions, but 6, 7, up to 6, 7 clarifying questions are good. Now, what could be some of those clarifying questions? For example, somebody asks, what do we mean by profitability? Is it gross profit? Is it net profit? Is it what type of profit are we talking about? How much profitability had been decreased? Is it 10%? Is it 20%? It is 15%? What exactly is the extent? Are our competitors also facing the profitability decline? Now, that's a very important question. Why it is an important question? Because if our competitors are also facing this problem, right? If our competitors are also facing this problem, then it is an industry-wide problem. And there is some problem in the external environment versus if we are only facing this problem, then you can assume that the problem is something with us, right? Then what kind of beauty products do we manufacture? Where do we sell? In USA, outside? Where do we sell? In retail shops, in online? What do we do, right? So those kind of some of the clarifying questions you should ask. My tip to asking a clarifying question would be definitely ask questions on the problem statements terminologies like profitability, what kind of beauty product, what do we do, what do we mean by manufacturing and marketing, where do we sell, which what is the value of profitability, how much we have reduced, and all those things, right? So that will be really great clarifying question. And you can ask some contextual questions also, like what kind of company it is, what kind of product does it sell, where does it sell, and all. Who are the customer base, right? Is it young people? Is it middle age crewmate? What kind of people we are selling to? Which is the customer segment we are selling to? So these are the clarifying question you should ask. Now, second step, the first is clarifying question. Second step, and it's very important, as I told you, that so in the second step, you set the objective. You understand from recruiter that what is expected from you. So you want me to find out the root cause of this phenomena and come up with suggestion to resolve it. Is there any other objective? What you're ensuring is that you are, as I said, right, case studies are always open and you want to make sure that recruiter is very clear and you are very clear on the what is the expectation of recruiter from this from you, right? Hence, ask a good objective question. What do you want me to do? Do you want me to find out this and this? And do you want me to do something else also? Please let me know so that I can approach accordingly. Even if it is clear in the problem statement, it is a good way to really engage the recruiter and take the commitment of recruiter for the task. And now the recruiter will also be very focused on the objective. This is what is expected. Next step would be structuring. How would you approach this problem? You should come up with a framework wherein you should say this is how we'll approach. Now, when I say framework, you don't need to use a ready-made framework. If you know it, okay, you can use it. But it's not that you need to always use a ready-made framework. You can always think from the first principle thinking and think about what are the elements, 3 to 4, comprehensively define this profit. What are some of the elements which comprehensively define this profit? So you need to create a structure on how are you going to approach this problem? How are you going to solve this problem? So your statement could be something like this, that since profit is revenue minus cost, profit might have declined because either the revenue has gone down, or cost has gone up, or both, right? I would like to see whether the revenue has gone down or cost has gone up. Now tell me one thing, generally, what are the components which defines revenue? How revenue is calculated? What are some of the factors you consider to determine revenue? Anyone? Sales unit into price. Yeah, great. Right? Now let's say you know the sales amount, number of units sold into pricing. What are the factors? Let's say price is constant for a minute. What are the factors which determine how much units will be sold? What are the factors will affect the number of units sold? Anyone? What are the factors? Market demand, yes. Inflation, okay. Availability, demand of the market, yeah. So let's see everything in a framework, whatever we discussed. So profit is revenue minus cost. Revenue is selling price per unit into number of unit into like number of products. Let's say there are 5 products. So selling price per unit into number of unit of product 1, then similarly for product 2, then similarly for product 3, and then so that's how you define the revenue. Right now we are looking at the revenue side of the framework. Now, how this number of for a minute, if you assume that selling price per unit is constant, the number of units sold will be dependent on either supply side issues or demand side issues. Demand, as you said, right? Either customers are not buying it, number of customers are reduced, or their average order amount is reduced, or their order frequency is reduced, right? This could be the reason because of which demand has gone down. Versus there could be supply side issue. Maybe, there is a sourcing issue. There is a logistics issue. There's a warehousing issue. I mean, so you've heard of this rare earth metal crisis, right? Supply side issue, right? During COVID, you did not get semiconductors, supply side issues, production side issues, logistics side issues because of the wars. So your revenue is going down, let's say, in revenue side framework, because either there is some supply side issue or demand side issue. What could be some of the factors which might affect cost? Now we are looking at cost side of framework. What do you think? What are some of the factors? What are some of the factors which affect cost? Anyone? Raw material, competition pricing, okay, operation cost, very good, right? So let's again try to see cost also through a framework, through a structured way of looking cost. So this is a more detailed version of the revenue side framework, expanded. You can go through it. But the cost side, right, is either there is cost because of the primary activity or there are costs because of support activity. Primary activities which directly deals with production of, sorry, which directly deals with production of the material. It could be raw material cost, it could be manufacturing cost, it could be distribution and storage cost, it could be sales cost, or it could be support activities, research and development, finance, branding, advertising, human capital, general office cost, general administration cost, and all that. So this is how you basically structure your your framework. Now let's go to analysis part. What happens is, now let's say you will be given. So till here, recruiter is looking at you and saying whether you can structure your problem or not, from clarification, objective, and structure. Now recruiter want to see whether you can solve, whether you can analyze some facts and data or not. And for that, he will give you some data. So let's see some data. So let's say this is the data. Once again, let me make it a bit smaller. Just give me 1 minute. Yeah. Can you see it? Yeah. So let's say this is the data. What do you make out of this data? What do you infer from this data? Can somebody tell me? Looking at this data, what could be inferred? Cost went high. Yeah. Which reduction in revenue? No, revenue is still increased, right? 11, it's from 1,000 to 1150. Revenue has increased for marketing spend and logistics. Very good. There's a bigger problem. If you see it closely, there's a bigger problem. What all of you are saying is correct. But there's a bigger problem in this table. Marketing, yeah, that is correct. Negative EBITDA, not negative. Yeah, negative EBITDA, correct. But why negative EBITDA? Why profitability has been reduced? Also, fixed costs increase, which means negative. Okay, so let's see that. Okay, if you see, the gross margin was 52%, but now it is only 45%. There is a huge cost of around 7%, which has been reduced. And how gross margin is calculated? Revenue minus direct selling cost, cost of goods sold. So your cost of goods sold has increased, or there's some other issue. So, okay, now very good point. Now let me tell you another thing. Okay, why do you think? Why do you think? What are the factors which affect? Tell me, what are the factors which affects gross margin? See, always listen to problem carefully. See, yeah, your revenue is quantity into price minus COGS. Quantity into price. Your COGS is your gross margin is,
Gross margin.
yeah, your gross margin is quantity into price minus cost of goods sold, direct cost of goods sold, right? Either your cost of goods sold has increased or your price has decreased, meaning you don't have any pricing problem. Let's try to understand it from the next table. I think next table will give you a more clear picture what would have happened. Now, what do you see from this data? Very good, Animesh. Something like that. What has happened? What has changed from FY23 to FY24, which you think could have caused gross margin to reduce significantly by 7%? Inflation, okay. Anyone? See, earlier we are selling in FY23, how much we are selling from the general trade? 65%. And how much we were selling from e-commerce? 35%. Now, FY24, what is that ratio? That is significantly increased. We are selling more from e-commerce where the margins are very less. So there are a lot of competition in e-commerce, which is asking us to reduce our price, and hence we are not able to sell it, and hence our gross margin, we are not able to sell it at a price which we would like to sell, which we are selling in general trade. But in e-commerce, our margins are very less. What has happened in last year? We have started selling our product, more product from e-commerce, where we have very less pricing power because of lot of competition in those channels, and hence our profitability has significantly got affected. While I also agree with all of you that your you know percentage of cost, marketing cost and logistics cost has also increased significantly from last year. So there are both problems. One, we are not able to price it better. At the same time, our marketing spend and our logistics cost has also increased. And that's what is causing our. So this kind of analysis, right? When you see one or two table, they will give you, right? When you do this kind of analysis and this kind of synthesis of that analysis, they'll be really excited. Now, the last thing you need to recommend. So what will be your recommendation? Some of your recommendation could be, or your before that, yeah, analysis. I just whatever I said, I've just written it here. Growth is happening, but the unit growth is happening. Our revenue is increased, right, from 1,000 to 1150. But the unit economics have deteriorated, indicating value restricting growth. Why value restricting growth? Because we have started selling in e-commerce where we increased our margin, our share of revenue from e-commerce, where our pricing power is less, and hence our margins are less, and hence it is affecting our EBITDA. At the same time, our marketing spend and logistics spend have also increased significantly. So that's how you analyze it. And then your recommendation would be possible actionable recommendation. Arrest discount-led e-commerce growth, as falling price realization is primary driver of gross margin erosion. Shift focus towards high margin channels, meaning let's say your own retail channel, your modern trade channels and all that. Rationalize marketing spend, reduce marketing spend, tighten logistics and channel economics so that you can reduce those costs as well. Maybe use technology for them, right? So these are your recommendations. So this is how a recruiter would expect you to have a step-by-step process to solve any case. Paraphrase and clarify, set the objective, give the framework. It could be a ready-made framework, it could be your own framework. Analyze the data, synthesize the data, analyze the data, give recommendations, and a recruiter might ask a couple of questions or your recommendation, which is just explained with the logic. So this is how you solve a problem. Just to wrap up, listen carefully, paraphrase your understanding. Do not jump to solve the problem, show your approach. Take interviewer's hint. Interviewer will always give you hints when you're going wrong or where recruiter want you to go, right? They will give you hint. Think aloud. You might be stuck in a lot of time. Think aloud so that you can show what you're thinking. It is okay to get stuck. Do not give up. These are some of the case study links which you can, let me share this link to you. You can go here, you can get a lot of resources for case study here, right? Yeah, there are a lot of resources for case studies and other things. Even the McKinsey way is also there. This book, please read this book. This is a very good book for solving case studies. Very, very good book, right? We have some courses on guesstimate and consulting and guesstimate bundle case studies. If you want, you can go through them as well, right? Let me share this link with you so that if you want, you can go through them also. Great. If you have any doubt, any question, let me know. I would be happy to help you. Otherwise, we are good to go. Thank you so much for joining in. You please connect with me on LinkedIn. I share a lot of things on LinkedIn. Let me see if I can share my LinkedIn profile as well. Yeah, I have my LinkedIn profile. Let me share that. Yeah, we can connect on LinkedIn. And yeah, thank you so much. You have any doubt, anyone? Great then. Thank you so much. All the best. Let's meet in some other meeting. Thank you so much. Bye. Someone share the feedback link, no?